From Arizona to Washington and all the way to Georgia, welcome to the Coast to Coast Catch Up. We're just two childhood friends who grew up together, chased sports dreams, and now live on opposite sides of the country. This podcast is our way of catching up, unpacking real life, and sharing the ride with you. From deep conversations to lessons we're still learning, laughs to life pivots, it's the kind of catch up everyone needs. Let's get into it, Abe. How are we doing to this week?
This week, it's been a crazy week, man. Today's Thursday. Not the normal pod recording day, but glad we're here, and yeah, it's a good Thursday for sure.
Yeah, man. Excited to be here.
Always excited to do this. I'll go ahead and start off with my week. So we basically walked. This project's about 10,000 square feet. So we walked a 10,000 square foot house. Basically every square foot, and make sure everything is where it should be, and made any changes necessary. Whether it's not a client, it's a spec home, but so it's kind of the last time where we can make big changes, even though you don't want to make big changes because it makes things harder. But you imagine, think of the biggest house that you've ever walked through. You got to walk through it before it starts getting closed out, and hey, is this blocking here correctly? Is this here correctly? Is it following structurals? Is it following the selections that are picked? So and there's a lot of people there. Some of our trades and most of our team members for that project are there. So you're dealing with the plumber, the designer, the electrician, the client, the owner, our VP, the project manager. So it's a real all hands on deck kind of meeting for that project. So to go through it and kind of being thrown in this role where it's now my meeting, it went pretty well, I would say. But yeah,
Good.
Just very tedious. Very tedious and a lot of information. So
Yeah. Good, man. That seems like a lot.
Yeah. So
my week. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, let's hear yours, Cannon.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so dropped Alyssa off this Thursday. Dropped her off at the airport. She went home to go dress shopping. We are getting married this April, so looking forward to that. She went home, went with her mom, my mom, her sister, and our friend Jules, and they were able to find a dress, so she was super excited about that. And sounded like they had a good time back in Arizona, just going shop to shop, and yeah, trying on. She said she tried on probably 52 dresses, and yeah, doesn't sound like a ton of fun to me, but I'm glad she enjoyed it and had a good time out of it. So that was great. And her mom made like these cute like little sticks that they held up, and were like, "Oh, you look cute, but the dress doesn't," or stuff like that. So that was kind of funny to see her process and then make it enjoyable. So did that, dropped her off Thursday, picked my dad up Thursday night. Kind of did a switcheroo change over there, and my dad stayed the weekend with us, so that was super fun. Haven't had him up here yet. This is our first time, so we did a lot of hikes. On Friday we did a hike, Lake Serene, something I had already done a few times, and I thought it was my favorite hike going into it. Alyssa and I did it in the winter, and it was beautiful and frozen up at the top and a bunch of snow and ice, and that was crazy. And then we did it once it warmed up a bit, and there was a bunch of waterfalls. That was super pretty. That was super fun. And then my dad and I just did it, and there was no more waterfalls, but it was still pretty. It's these hikes with the lake on top of a mountain again, and so I'm really enjoying those. Keep going back to them, and so did that. That was about a 10-mile hike, pretty good. And then the next day we woke up and drove 2.5 hours to a place called, or a hike called Kolchak, and that was I think that's my new favorite hike. Similar thing, hike the mountain, lake on the top, super pretty. That was probably the more strenuous hike that we've done yet, but also the most fun. There was probably a 15-foot cliff jumping area. That was great. And then my dad and I decided to run down and passed everybody, and yeah, it got competitive, and kind of how we always do things. So that was fun. And then Monday, got to hang out with Dad a little bit after work. Went and played pickleball with Mac and Alyssa. She got back, picked her up from the airport, and yeah, it was a great weekend. Had a lot of fun. Good to see my dad. Good to hang out and um, yeah, go on hikes and stayed super active. Oh, I missed it. Sunday we went to Bellingham and hiked again with my dad. Mac was able to get a bike from his coworker, and we did that for probably 15 miles or so, and just had a good time and super fun. So shout out to Mac for getting that bike, and we've yeah, I was tired Monday morning. It was great. It was great. Exploring Kolchak with my dad. That was super fun. There was also this little German town that we drove through, and it kind of reminded me of when I went over to Austria and lived there for a bit. So really enjoyed that. They did a good job with it. It was pretty close to Germany, or yeah. So enjoyed that, and then low light was on the way back. My dad, well, both ways. My dad booked a Frontier flight, and um, Frontier did what Frontier does, and they delayed his flight by about 4 hours. So he was supposed to leave at 7 p.m. Started heading out around 4 after work, and uh, they pushed it back right when we left. And we're like, all right, well, let's go get something to eat. So I took him to Chipotle. He got a burrito, and then they pushed it back another back to 12, and we're like, okay, well, we have time. Let's go play some pickleball. So got a bit of extra time with dad, which was great. Went and played pickleball with him and Alyssa, like I said earlier, and then he checked his phone. He's like, oh, it got bumped back up to 11:40 again. So we're like, oh, okay, like that's only 30 minutes. Like we can still hang out. And then so we went back, ate dinner, and then I took him to the airport at like 9 just because it's a work night for me. And he was like, you don't have to stay up late for me and take me, at 10 or whatever, and then get back at 11. So took him, dropped him off, went to sleep, woke up in the morning, went to work, and then about midday he texts me and says, "Hey, I'm still in Seattle. The flight is when it said 11:48. They pushed it back from 7 to 11:48 p.m. back to 12 a.m. So the next day, and then
Yeah.
he thought they brought it back up to 11:40 p.m., but they pushed it back to 11:48 a.m. So they pushed his flight back 15 hours, and he assumed they only pushed it back 4 or 5. So user error there, but also that's pretty far to be pushed back for a flight. So not cool out of Frontier. Wouldn't recommend their services unless you're really looking to save some money, but it might come with some cost. So it wasn't um, a personal loss, but it felt like it needed to be said. Uh, it wouldn't. I've had flights canceled on Frontier, and it made me feel bad that I had my dad sleep in the airport when I could have housed him one more night and then dropped him off in the morning. So, yeah, that's the low light for the week. Kind of a funny one, but let's get right into it, Abe. We're going to be talking about Georgia. This has been your house for the last two something years now.
Yeah, man. We 2 years and a month, basically.
Yeah, awesome. Well, since you're now an expert, we're going to be quizzing you. I thought it'd be fun to start us off with a true false kind of a speed round section. So some of these are I'll just let you answer for yourself. I'm not going to give you
Yeah.
any forewarning and see what comes out. So I think I'll give you a couple seconds to answer, and then we'll go back through and kind of see how you did and touch on something that may or may not have shocked us. So let's do that. So ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right. Good. Number one, fried chicken / barbecue is on most menus. Quick, come on.
True for fried chicken.
True. All right. The term Coke is used for all soda.
No. False.
False. You have been scolded by an old lady for not finishing a sentence with yes, ma'am.
False.
I was hoping that one would be true. Georgia Bulldog football is the number one religion in your state.
True.
When a water fountain is put in, you also have to install a sweet tea fountain.
False.
you can hear Sunday services from over 2 blocks away. You know, all the singing and the.
False. False.
Do you live close to one? Sorry, we can go back.
I
We can
live.
go back to these.
Let's circle back. Let's circle back.
Okay. Atlanta wings are the best wings in the country.
True.
True? All right.
True. I say true.
When you first moved there, the accents were so heavy that you spoke to people through Google Translate.
False.
An inch of snow would cause complete chaos in the city of Atlanta.
That is completely true. Completely true.
And the final question is, your first date with Mina was in a Waffle House?
False.
Oh, thought I could catch you there. All right. So let's touch back on this. You opened up with fried chicken and barbecues in most menus. Being from Arizona or from, other places in the States, I feel like the South is known for their barbecue and their fried chicken. You said it's true that they are on most menus. How is the fried chicken and how is the barbecue?
All right, so there is a ton of fried chicken out here. That's true. But barbecue, there's barbecue down here, but it's not as prevalent or as common as you think. I've had some hard times finding. And I think it's because I'm in the city. I think it's more in the outskirts, but there's fried chicken everywhere. At every corner there is fried chicken. That's completely true. But barbecue is hard to find. Good barbecues are hard to find.
Okay, gotcha. That's interesting. I would have guessed there's a lot more barbecue.
I'm
On to number
very
2.
disappointed.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would be too. On to number 2. The term Coke is used for all sodas. What do they use for soda? I know up in Wisconsin they use pop. Back in Arizona they use Coke. What is the term? Or sorry, they use soda. What is the term that people use over there?
It's soda here, which is surprising
Okay.
as well. But since Coke is based out of here, you cannot find Pepsi anywhere. Everywhere is Coke. So, and I mean, if you go to a gas station, there's Pepsi, but like every restaurant, it's always going to be Coke. 99% of the time it's going to be Coke.
That's interesting. Very interesting. So number 3, you have been scolded by an old lady for not finishing a sentence with "yes, ma'am." You said false. Have you noticed that the use of "sir" and "ma'am" is a lot more prevalent?
No,
Really?
it's not. It's not in the city. I haven't done too much outside in the suburbs or the Hicks, but I have not seen that yet. I haven't even seen I've seen only a faint of Southern hospitality, and it's the people that live an hour away from Atlanta. So no.
Gotcha. So on to the next one. When a water fountain is put in, you have to also install a sweet tea fountain. You said false. This was obviously a joke, but how big is the sweet tea down there?
It's everywhere. I remember growing up, we'd go to Firehouse Subs or a couple of restaurants because they had sweet tea there, and I loved it. But there's no shortage of sweet tea or good sweet tea here at all. Which is awesome. I'm a big fan of sweet tea.
Coming from the land of Arizona sweet tea, how does it compare there?
I still drink Arizona sweet tea. I still have it occasionally in my fridge, and you just can't beat that. You can't beat any Arizona tea, or the price or the size. But yeah, there's a lot of good sweet tea down here, and I'm finding that people will go to certain places for that specific sweet tea. Which is
really
interesting. Yeah.
Where's the best place? I'll have to write that down.
Don't hate me, but it's not Chick-fil-A. Zaxby's is pretty solid. And then there's a Mexican restaurant. I don't know what they're putting in it. It's called La Fonda, but their sweet tea is really good. It's
wow,
really good. Most people go there for their margaritas, but I go there for their sweet tea.
Fun.
So yeah.
Okay. So Georgia Bulldog is the number 1 religion in the state. You said true to that. How big is that? And have they pulled you into their cult?
I have not been pulled in. I've not been pulled into that cult or the SEC cult. But one thing I will say, and this is very surprising, it's about 70-30. It's might be 60-40 between Georgia and Alabama in Atlanta, which I would have never expected. I thought it would have just been like a clean sweep of Georgia. But since a lot of people from Georgia go to Alabama University, and then they come back to Atlanta, or vice versa, or they're from Alabama, go to Alabama, and then they move to Atlanta. So like I remember they had the SEC championship here, and it was Alabama versus Georgia. I've never seen more red in my entire life.
I'm sure.
80% of people that I saw that day had either Alabama or Georgia something on, and it was hostile. So that being said, Georgia is still a very big deal here, and it's almost on every license plate with people that I deal with. So it's cool. It's
Very
cool to
nice.
see. I'm a big fan of supporting whatever. So it's cool.
Right. It just brings an energy that is unmatched, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So speaking of energy, I feel like churches down there are known for a little more energy, a little more singing, a little more, I've never been to a more southern church. But have you made the time to go to one yet, or?
No, I mean I've been to a few churches down here. They've been pretty relaxed, but we live right next to. I will say the amount of churches here is astronomically high compared to other places I've lived, and then the size of them are also way bigger. Like the biggest church I've seen in Arizona, I've seen like 4 of those in the middle of Atlanta.
Wow.
So like religion is a big thing down here, and I live right across the street from a huge church, and I hear their bell every Sunday. But do I hear the sermon or the worship? No, I do not. So
that's too bad. I was really hoping that was just a call you could hear from miles away.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Which thank God, because I think Sundays would become a terrible day. If all I heard all day.
Oh, come on. You hate singing? Singing is great.
I don't hate singing.
Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Atlanta wings are the best wings in the country. You said true to this. What's your favorite one?
The Wing Factory. So similar to Sweet Tea, everyone has their own wing place that they swear is the best. I've been asking around, and one of my colleagues is like, "Hey, Wing Factory right next to us is really good." And so I've had their wings twice within a span of a week from when he told me that. And they're pretty good. I've became a big lemon pepper guy since moving here.
So the culture has changed you a bit, huh?
I guess. I definitely wouldn't go to Atlanta Wings. That's in Arizona. I wouldn't call that an authentic wing spot, but they're the best I've had. And I've been to a lot of parts of the country, so I'm not saying that. You know what I will say? I think they're the best wings in the country. I'd gladly be proven wrong, but much better than everywhere else I've been. So I'm excited about that.
Good to know. Next time I come out there, you'll have to show me that. I don't think we had any when I came out.
That slipped me, so that's on me. But we'll for sure get wings next time.
All good. So the next one was when you moved there, the accents were so heavy that you spoke to people through Google Translate. This is something I had to do in Europe. I thought maybe even though they're speaking English, sometimes over in the South they get a little more gibberish. I know that's more Louisiana. How are the accents over there in Atlanta?
There's a few people that do have kind of that Southern drawl accent. You can speak to them just fine, but you do get like kind of excited like talking to them just because it sounds cool. Like sounds lame, but like our concrete guy actually is very Southern. So like talking to him, it's like I don't know, it's just cool. I appreciate talking to him and his conversation.
Just can't help but smile. It's like
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I can hold my smile in, but I appreciate the words I share with him.
Good. Have you noticed that you're changing the way you talk at all?
No.
I feel like it might be changing more than you think. we'll see.
Maybe.
Maybe as this podcast progresses, we'll come back to this one and be like, wow, listen to Abe. He doesn't have his southern draw
Yeah,
anymore. So the
maybe
next
we'll
one,
see.
an inch of snow would cause complete chaos. You said true to this. How often does it snow down there?
So it doesn't snow very often. If I had to guess, it probably snows like once every like 8 years. And it
Oh, wow.
snowed this not yeah, it doesn't snow very often. Um, and it snowed this last winter. Which I don't know if I had something to do with that, but it snowed this last winter, and Mina was out of town, and who loves snow, so she was pretty bummed. But yeah, it shut everything down. There was only like one snowplow amongst the city of Atlanta, and I was fine. I mean, I've driven in snow plenty of times, and Mina at the time had a Jeep, so like her mom was super worried about me. She's like, hey, like, don't drive. Like, do you need anything? We can, bring you stuff, whatever. And she was in full mom mode. And I was like, nah, like I can make it to Publix. Like, I got it. Like, I just need to go get some eggs and some steaks and I'll be good. And she's like, no, like, we can get it for you. Or like, do you have toilet paper? Like all this crazy stuff. And I was just like, no, like, I'm good. Like, I'll make it there. But everywhere was closed. I mean, I was glad that Publix was open, but yeah, it shuts everything down. Which is fine. I mean, it's whatever. But my dog enjoyed it, so
Good.
it's complete chaos for sure.
To go back to the accent thing, does Mina's parents have an accent?
No, ah,
Okay.
no accents. No, they don't have accents.
Okay. What do they have? You're alluding to something.
No, it's okay.
Okay. We'll skip on that one. And then the final true false. Your first date with Mina was at a Waffle House. You said false to this.
One of our earlier on dates, we
Wow.
went to Waffle House.
That's actually crazy because that was just a complete random one. I know they have a lot of Waffle Houses there, and I can't believe I was anywhere close with that question. So that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but like I have 3 Waffle Houses within like a mile span of where I'm at. So they're everywhere. And yeah, one of our first dates was actually at a Waffle House. It was like our 3rd or 4th date that was at a Waffle House. And it was just, I mean, it was early on, so we had great conversations, but her parents' first date was at a Waffle House.
Wow.
And then I found out, and it was actually at the same Waffle House that we went to. That's why we went to that one. But and then I found out that my parents' first date was at a Denny's, and so I guess diners just run of the families. We're kind of the diner boys. So, but no, there's a lot of Waffle Houses.
Needless to say, your kids will be 100% breakfast people.
Yeah,
or
for sure.
or at least eat breakfast past midnight. I think that's also what those places are known for. Waffle Houses in Arizona kind of have a interesting spin on the I don't know, the way that you look at them, and they're, the waitresses might be missing some teeth or fingers. Does it kind of feel the same way there, or is it
it's the exact same.
A nicer dining? Okay, that's good.
There's one. My boss told me about this. There's one Waffle House like up in like the northern part of Atlanta, which is like where like the quote unquote like wealthier part of Atlanta is, or at least one part of it. And it's like how Waffle House was like when they kind of first opened, where everyone's like very clean cut, like wears the hat, like almost like In-N-Out, how everyone has to be like clean shaven and very nice and whatever. But there's just one of those. Everyone else it's still a crack house, which is fine. That's what you get. So I've enjoyed it. I enjoy Waffle House. I ask Meet all the time, like, hey, you want to go to Waffle House? She's like, no, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So bummed about that, but whatever. What can you do?
No, at least you have a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
So let's get into out of the true false segment, more into Georgia. Let's get into pre-Georgia, or even your first impressions of Georgia. What was, before you moved there, what did you expect when you moved to Georgia?
So I didn't expect anything. A big reason why I ended up here is because my mom and I went to Georgia when I was like 16. Her brother was living in Alabama at the time, and which is again right next to Georgia. And so she did a work thing in Atlanta, and then went to go visit her brother. And I was like, hey, like, can I come? Because it was right over our fall break. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. So we stayed at, not unbeknownst to me because I didn't know, just being a 6-year-old kid, but like we stayed like in Midtown, which is like it's supposed to be for young people. It's right in the middle of the city. It's, you know, you think of like a downtown of a cities that kind of where everything's happening. Midtown is like the new where everything's happening, nicer, cleaner part of Atlanta. So I saw Atlanta for like the best, like, in the best possible way in the fall. So like everything was changing, and I liked it. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Like I want to live in a city when I get older, like kind of like actually in a city and not just like on the suburbs. And I really enjoyed it. And then I didn't think about Atlanta for like another like 8 years or whatever it was, 6 years. And State Farm gave me an opportunity and was like, hey, you know, you can move to Atlanta, Dallas, Indiana, or stay in Phoenix. And I was like, you know, I really don't want to. I told myself I'd always move outside of Arizona once I graduated, just to go see other stuff, because I could always come back. And then I really not a big fan on Dallas. I just think it's a flatter, humid Arizona, and then Indiana. It was not Indiana, Illinois, small town Illinois, and I was like, I'm not moving to another small town. And so it just made sense to pick Atlanta, and so yeah, that's kind of why I ended up here. They gave me a slightly better job because I did come out here to Atlanta, so that was nice for a little bit more pay. But so yeah, but I didn't know anything else about Atlanta other than it had a really big aquarium. The Midtown area was really, really nice, and that's it. And Coke. So that's all I knew about Atlanta. And so
the drink,
the drink, yeah, the drink, the red one. And so, yeah, it's been a little bit, just over 2 years, and I would say things that. I really had no expectations going here either. I know I really didn't think about it for another like 6 years until it was an option to move it here, but I didn't know anything else other than like the Falcons and the Hawks play here. And I did my research. I knew it was kind of a growing area, which is something that I always kind of look forward to. Look forward in a city or a place to move. So. So yeah, that's kind of that. I really didn't have much thought into moving out here, other than there's a lot of growth out there, and it seems like a pretty cool place.
yeah. Well, that's cool. You took the leap of faith and kind of, you know, went out there by yourself, didn't know anybody, and that takes a lot of bravery, and pretty cool you did that. You've been there about 2 years now, you say. Is it starting to feel like home? Is it, you know, are you starting to know your way around town? Are you starting to have a favorite local spot, and when people come in, you tell them where to go and all that, or does it still feel kind of chaotic in your head up there?
Yes and no. Atlanta is not the grid system, so like in Arizona, I can still name like 30 streets because I know the next one that follows after the next one. But I think I know like 2 or 3 street names out here. And like getting around, like I can get within like a 5-mile vicinity of me, but with traffic, like there's just a different way of doing things out here. And traffic's one of those where you've got to look up directions on how to get somewhere, no matter how short it is. I mean, if it's down the street, it's down the street, but like, if it's like more than 5 miles, you should probably look up directions, because the way that you're mentally going to go might have traffic. There's like a 50-50 shot has traffic, and it's probably going to take like twice as long. So to get in the habit of like always searching where you're going to go is kind of, I was very uncomfortable with that. And it's still not like a perfect habit of mine, but I think that's what you kind of strive to be, is to make a home of where you're at. But I'm still very unfamiliar with a lot of areas. I know where a lot of areas are, but like when you talk to people like, oh, I'm from here or I'm from there, or I live here and I live there, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know where that's at. And it's like,
I get that being up here, that's for sure.
Yeah. and I feel bad because I'm like, oh, like, I should know where that's at. But with, I think what's different about living out here, and I noticed it in the Midwest, was the suburbs are much smaller and there's more of them compared to what I grew up with. So you just got to learn more names and places. And I just don't have the time to go check out every single place. Because some are more for like actually to see, and some more for like to like live. And everywhere's a little bit different. So, but I feel like I've done a really good job of knowing my bearings in such a short time. That's the one thing I've always been pretty good with, is directions and bearings. And so,
Yeah, I've been good at that. Definitely.
and I'm a
I recall.
big map guy too. So like, I've done a pretty good job of just knowing where everything is. But
That's cool.
yeah, true maze out here though.
Sure. Speaking of knowing where you are, when someone comes and visits, what are places you're taking them after 2 years? What are some of your favorite spots?
Yeah, you've been the only one to come visit me. So well, and I met some college friends for dinner one time, but my answers have changed. So I think you came out here like a couple months after I moved out here. And I think I told you to go on a hike and the aquarium or the Coca-Cola facility, which is like the most Georgia thing to do, is the aquarium and Coca-Cola, which is downtown. Which I'm ashamed I didn't take you to the College Football Hall of Fame, but I think that's maybe because Alyssa was with us. But that's a very basic answer, and I'm kind of ashamed. I would not do that to this day. I think I know if someone were coming to me and was like, "Hey, we have, a weekend. What do we want to do?" Atlanta has this really cool thing called like the Beltline, which, like Phoenix has the canal system, which is like a great way to like have trails and stuff. And I know Minnesota as well. Minneapolis has a great trail system. There's the Beltline is basically a trail around the perimeter, not the perimeter, but like a circle around Atlanta. And I think it's like, I looked it up the other day, it's like 20 something miles of pathway and walkways. And they have like little sections among them with like bars, activities, sites, and stuff like that. So I'd love to, and I would tell anyone to go bike, walk, go take a section under the Beltline and grab a few drinks and see kind of what Atlanta has to offer. So I would do that. The hike that I sent you is actually one of my more favorite hikes. So I would definitely send them there too. I think it's pretty cool. It's in the city, and it's a pretty good hike. And then, which is actually really close to the Braves Stadium. And if there's a baseball game, the Braves Stadium is one of the better stadiums in the MLB, and they've done a fantastic job with the area around it. So those are things I would definitely say. And then there's Pond City Market, which is a giant food hall, which is actually on the Beltline. It's in one of the sections. And food halls here have been, we don't have those anywhere I've ever lived. So to see those is really, really cool.
What is a food hall? Is that
food
just
hall?
a bunch of?
Yeah. It's like, imagine like, it's almost like a cruise ship dining where there's like, there could be as much as like 20 or 30 restaurants in like one building. And so it feels like a cafeteria with general seating, and you can get whatever you want. So I thoroughly enjoy them because Mina can go get her food and I go get my food. It's the ultimate, like, you can't decide on what to eat, so you go to a food hall and you can get whatever you want.
So basically, just like a mall, like a mall eating area. Like I feel like
yeah, it's like a food court basically.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you remember
Interesting.
you remember going to J Dan's for Thanksgiving, and then we went to like that one place to watch those football games, in Spartanburg, in one of the cities. Like they had like four or five different restaurants in that one place.
I gotcha.
Yeah, this is just like a bigger version of that.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that hike that you sent me on, that was surprising, being out in the middle of the city, and then like, go on this hike. You're like, okay, I want to look at buildings, and then we were, there's bigger trees and stuff. We were out in the middle of the woods. We saw some deer and stuff. That was pretty shocking. And then I like the Coke factory. I thought it was really interactive and pretty fun for, it's touristy, obviously. it is what Atlanta's a little more known for is the Coke factory. But I really enjoyed it. They had all the different sodas that you could try from around the
Yeah.
world, Coke products that they serve in different countries and different continents. So really enjoyed that. I liked it. I would recommend that. But yeah, looking forward to see what you have with when I come out again for the belt line and food halls and all that. So that should be good. What was something that surprised you when you moved to Atlanta, being the other
Yeah.
places you've been?
Um, there's a lot. It's a completely different part of the country. Obviously, the demographics are different. It's not, just Mexicans and Caucasians. There's a lot of different people here. So getting like getting used to that, it didn't take long, but it's definitely different, which is awesome. I think that's another thing I
What
was
types
looking.
of populations are in
There, so
Atlanta?
I believe we have the biggest African American percentage here in Atlanta, as well as I believe Persian. New York might be better than more than Persian, but um, Atlanta with its airport is just so global. So I've met people from India, Taiwan, all over the Middle East, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Turkey. Um, gosh, what are the other ones? So I've just met a lot of different people from a lot. India is a big one. Met a lot of people from all over the world, and obviously, like with being in the South, like there's a much greater African American population. So it's a big melting pot of a bunch of different demographics. And I remember moving out of college too. I was like, man, like I want to go do something a little bit more diverse than just Arizona and even especially northern Idaho and Minneapolis. So um, it's been very cool to see that. You come across a lot of people with a lot of different stories, and that's just something that you can't replicate it. You have to be there. You have to hear them. It just means a little bit more, and it hits a little bit closer to home. So that was something that's been really shocking. I would say another thing too is with the diversity, you have a lot of kind of the opposite with a lot of people that have kind of been in Georgia for a long time. There's a lot of generational wealth down here. I remember when we kind of drove around, especially like from my apartment to the golf course we went to, huge houses. And to find out that those huge houses are sitting on land that's probably goes for like $1 million an acre. I never would have guessed it. And yeah, it's very surprising when you're just driving to, and granted, I did a really good job picking my location in Georgia, and I live in one of the more like kind of wealthier spots. But to drive around and you see, a $15 million house, a $20 million house, a $4 million house, like it's kind of like you kind of get numb to it. Where I'm like, oh, like that's not, that's whatever. And then I'll go back to like Arizona and be like, oh yeah, like there's just some in Arizona and other places I've lived. There's wealth there too, but generational wealth, it's a little bit different. And especially the houses out here are a little bit different, so it shows a little bit differently. So that's been another thing that's been really, really surprising. And I would say trees and the demographics, or not the geography. It's very hilly down here, which is surprising. When it rains, a lot of water goes into like the low areas. Obviously, when it snows and it does get ice, people become idiots and they don't. It doesn't happen very often, thank gosh, but it's very hilly. You got to be conscious of that. And a lot, not just driving, but picking a house and walking and stuff like that. And there's a ton of trees. So I'm sure but like I believe Atlanta's viewed as a forest. There's tons of trees everywhere, and they care about their canopy so much. I know that they fight Charlotte back and forth between canopy coverage. I actually went to a city hall meeting about the tree canopy ordinance, which is crazy. I did that for fun one day because it does impact my job, but I was also curious and bored on a random Wednesday. But they fight Charlotte to have tree canopy over their coverage over their city. And Atlanta right now is at 47% canopy cover. So if you were looking at a map of Atlanta, 47% of that space is covered by a tree canopy, which is crazy to think about. That's the exact opposite of everywhere I've lived. So it's very cool to go back and forth. You think about how does that affect you daily, and I mean, it feels like you're driving through a forest everywhere you go, even when there's gigantic houses and commercial sized lots and stuff like that. So that's something that I was very surprised about. Makes fall very pretty as well. And then terrible cell service here in Atlanta. I think maybe tree canopy has something to do with it, but you could be in the middle of like the nicest part of Atlanta and have terrible service, like 1 or 2 bars where you can't even hear the other person on the call. So that was kind of shocking. Another cultural shock was pollen. I know we have like a little bit of pollen in, I mean, everywhere it has a little bit of pollen, but the amount of pollen here was insane. I mean, the first bad day of pollen in the spring, my car was black and I came out and it was yellow, and I had no idea what it was. I was like, man, like, did someone like dust my car? Like, I was so confused. And to find out that was pollen, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like that, there's no way it can have this much pollen. So, I haven't been hit by allergies yet, but that was crazy. So,
lucky you.
Just little things like that. It's shocking, and it does affect everyday life. The pollen obviously doesn't. That's a springtime thing, but the amount of trees, the cell service, the hills, like it all kind of affects your life in a little way. And you just kind of get used to it and numb to it and take it for granted or kind of ignore it. But when you go somewhere else, I'm like, oh, it's pretty flat here, or the grid system. That's cool. But
yeah, it is cool to see the differences. When I came out there, I was shocked by the wealth and just the old money, like you said. A house that, it's a nice house, and then you look it up on Zillow, or a nice house being places I've been, I'd be like, oh, that's probably a $3-4 million house. You look it up, and it's more like an $8-9 million house, and I was really shocked by that. With the trees, 47% of the city is covered. Is the sunset something you see often, or is that a rarity?
No, I do not. I can't remember the last time I saw a sunset here in Atlanta. There's so many trees, you don't really get to see it. I'm a big sunset guy, so I was actually quite upset about this. But again, you kind of just get used to it. I will say, with as many trees, Atlanta being kind of an older city, it still has a ton of power lines up. So you have trees cut around power lines because they're growing or have grown. And I remember driving like when I first moved here, I was like, oh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, put those lines underground or something, And because of that, you get a lot more power outages because the storms will knock down trees and knock down wires, and you'll just be out of power for X amount of time. I've had the power cut out maybe once or twice my first like 20 years of life. I've had the power out like 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years. So that's, everyone here has generators. But yeah, when the power goes out at like 7 o'clock and they get it back on at, hopefully they get it back on by the time you wake up. But I mean, I've woken up with like, my phone not charged because the power's out. And then I have to go to work. I'm like, man, this sucks. So, again, it's just something that's normal. I mean, gosh, I hope they start putting the utilities on the ground like everywhere else. But yeah, there's power lines around every tree. It's crazy.
Yeah, sure. That's interesting. We haven't had to deal with that too much up here. I know Mac and Michaela, when we first moved up here, had a big one, but yeah, luckily we haven't. And yeah, that doesn't sound fun. A big city running on generators. I guess better than everything going black. But so let's get into the weather. What do you think of Atlanta weather?
It's pretty good. It's that classic kind of mild weather throughout the whole year. I know everyone has heard of hot Atlanta. It does get pretty hot here, but Spring, man, it happens, just like, the northern states, it happens overnight. Being a big golfer, the Masters is in Georgia. And I think 2 or 3 weeks leading up to the Masters, I'm like, how is this thing going to happen? Like, it's the prettiest place on earth. It's, the epitome of spring. And it's still just kind of that dark gray, yellowish color everywhere. And then I swear to God, like 1 week, everything blooms just in time for that week. And everywhere looks great. Obviously, crazy amount of pollen because of that. There's a decent amount of weather, rain because of spring. But every year I'm always surprised by how fast it happens. Summers, they're hot and humid. I know everyone talks about humidity. It's not that bad. I don't know if it's something I've just gotten used to or if I'm adaptable, but I don't know. It's not. It doesn't ruin your summer. And it's still hot. It's still very hot here, but you can still do stuff outside rather than in Arizona where it's like I don't want to do anything outside. Here it's like it's hot, but I can still go for a run and not like totally exert myself, which I appreciate. It's cool to see the summer barbecues, the lake days, the more stereotypical summers happen here, which is something I missed out on in Arizona. I felt like fall lasts a lot longer out here. It's not 2 or 3 weeks like it is up in the north. It's more like 2 months, 2-3 months, which is awesome.
Nice.
Fall is definitely kind of the best time of year here. The weather is the most consistent. You're coming off the summer, and with so many trees out here, it just looks pretty, and the leaves last a lot longer. And then winters, again, not really a ton of snow. It's colder than winters here is kind of hard to it's kind of hard to explain, but it's colder than Arizona consistently. It's always like 10 20 degrees 10 15 degrees colder than Arizona, a little bit more cloudy than Arizona, but again, you don't normally get snow. Again, you'll get snow that odd year, but it's just kind of 30 40s, highs of 30s 40s, maybe 50s, and just kind of dreary, almost like a Seattle, where it's just kind of cloudy a lot. And all every grass is dead, and it truly shows it colors. Like in winter, it'd be like a northern winter if it had no snow, which is like no one wants that, right? So that's kind of what it's like. I would actually argue that winter here is worse than like Minnesota, not because of the temperatures, but because like you can't hide it. That there's no like snow to hide everything. It kind of shows its teeth more. So yeah, and the rain, like the rain gets colder. Like you'll get like that sleet, which is just I hate. Yeah, so
There's nothing worse than a cold rain and some wind. That's no fun.
You'll get that winter mix, which is like that sleet, hail, like just yeah. It's just gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But again, like I don't know, 3 out of 4 is not bad. So and again,
that's good.
Yeah, it's not like it doesn't snow like 5 feet in like 2 weeks, so that's kind of nice too. So
yeah,
I don't complain
nice.
too much about winter. Yeah,
I'm curious, since the fall is so extended, I'm wondering if that's why football is such a big sport and why everyone loves football down there. It's just because the season is perfect. People love being outside, and it's nice to go to games.
Yeah, dude, high school football is a big deal down here, and it makes every reason why, because it's just so nice for so long down here.
Yeah, that's awesome. What other sports are big down there?
Baseball. East Cobb, which is just north of Atlanta, is a big baseball town. I think at one time it was like Baseball Town USA. And then I think basketball is decently big here. I don't know. Like it's hard because like I don't have like pickleball. Oh, sorry. Tennis is a big deal here.
Really?
I know the Atlanta Open for tennis is a big deal. A lot of people show out for that, and it's kind of like a smaller tennis tournament. It's not like a U.S. Open or anything like that. But I remember moving here, and it seemed like there was a tennis court in every corner. And I was like, I wouldn't expect that. and people love their tennis here. And I think it's because they can play year round, unlike the North. But tennis, baseball, and football are by far kind of the three biggest ones, which is awesome. I think those are three great sports. So, but yeah, no, I don't think you can beat fall here. It truly is the best.
That's good. Uh, so do you think you'll stay there? Is that something that you're planning on doing, or what's the thought there?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts on places where I want to live. I've been so used to kind of bouncing around from place to place, living wise, and I have all these ideas. And I'm like, oh, I want to go there, or here, or whatever. I think Atlanta, Georgia, is a great place to live. And I know, like, for a while, it's kind of a detriment to me, but like, I was always searching for the best place to live. And I've talked with a lot of peers, but like, that just doesn't exist as far as the best place to live. But man, I just enjoy the West so much, and I've always been spread out from my family, so I don't have that kind of family ties. And yeah, I mean, I surely wouldn't be upset living here for a long time, but I'm always going to have that itch or that eye open to live somewhere else. So, but yeah, I mean, again, I've enjoyed it. Certainly, I've enjoyed it more with time. As more time has gone by, I've enjoyed it more. So,
If you were to move away, what would you miss about Atlanta?
the food, man. I was never really a big foodie. I moved here, fell in love with the foodie, and man, like every type of food here is good. Um, that's certainly something I'll miss. Again, just the other, obviously the wings are good here, but like just the culture of food here is so good. The weather, again, being the fall and the spring is just so awesome. And then even in the airport, like, dude, I can get around so well. I didn't realize how big of a tool it was, and that was another kind of reason why I moved out here, is because the Atlanta airport is one of the busiest in the U.S. And man, the access that you have to the rest of the world gets a little bit easier when you live in a place like Atlanta compared to where my parents live, where they're getting on at least 2-3 flights to get somewhere, rather than I can get a direct flight to, I would say, almost everywhere. So that's really cool to see. The power of that's really awesome. And yeah, I'd say it's just the trees. I love the trees. I mean, I could skip the humidity, but the trees are awesome, and obviously you can't have one without the other. But and the people here are very nice.
Nice. How
Yeah,
has living in Georgia changed your view on the world? You know, there's a lot of different cultures and it's a melting pot. How has
yeah.
that
It
changed?
just to meet people international school. So she has a lot of friends that are kind of international, and to hear her friends and her friends' parents, like their stories of like, hey, I came to this country with like nothing, and now I'm able to pay for like my kids to go to like an international school. Um, it's really inspiring. I think it's easy for like us nowadays to be like, oh man, like the new American dream is to like leave America and go live in Italy or whatever. But yeah, it's just still here like that American dream of like, hey, like we need to go to the US and we need to like start a new life and to make something out of it. It's really cool. You heard a little bit of it in other places I've lived, but man, you really hear it here. And so I really appreciated that. So yeah, again, it's different to hear it firsthand and shake their hands and listen to them, look them in the eyes, rather than a story in the news. So yeah, when it's that close to your circle, even though it's not directly, it's a tangible, but very cool, very inspiring.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, it's cool to hear all these different stories and what people come from and what opportunity comes to them and where they end up. And that might be down the street or um, I think that's very fun to just learn and continue to grow as a global mind. I would say. What do you wish you knew before you moved to Georgia?
Um, Things I wish. The airport being how large it was, I thought it'd be like kind of like a nicer airport. It's quite outdated. Which is fine. Again, I'm not gonna bash on um our airport here, but there's not. I would say there's not as much pride in Atlanta as I thought there was. I thought Atlanta was like very rich in culture and history, which it's rich in history but yeah, like you hear a lot of people, especially the people that I kind of grew up here. It's like, yeah, it's whatever, and I think that's just product of them being there for a long time. But Atlanta's also very transient. So like I know I've talked about a lot of people from being in a lot of different countries, but you find a lot of people that are moving here from other places, whether it's Tennessee, Alabama, the Carolinas, New York, Florida, Boston. I think there's much to like kind of the mass exodus out of California and Washington, Oregon to a few of the other states on the West. I think you're seeing a lot of the same things up in kind of Boston, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, and I think they're kind of with the weather and the businesses and the growth in Atlanta, I think it's all going to come down here. So that's something I wish I was kind of looking for. I'm not so like I was looking for diversity, but not such a like a transient like everyone's moving there type of place. But again, like I'm always looking for growth, and I guess that's kind of what makes sense. But yeah, a little less. Everyone's like mind. I think everyone has completely different minds here, which takes some getting used to. But it's very cool to hear that and how everyone's just very different, very different ways of thinking, which is again very cool as well. So,
That
but
is cool.
yeah,
What
again,
is your what to kind of sum all of Atlanta up? What is your favorite thing that you've learned from living there, that you've done living there? Just your favorite thing, or if that's too hard, you can list a few. But how has Atlanta built you as a person, or what have you seen, or what have you enjoyed being there?
yeah, I would say you can. Hmm. I would say okay. So some of the best things that I've enjoyed about Atlanta, what has just been the like you can do a lot of different things. You can drive to we're 3 hours away from the Smoky Mountains, which is awesome. It's a place that I've not yet to go to, but to have it that close, I never really expected it to be that close from Atlanta. So the closest to everything. Again, we have the beach 4 hours away in Savannah. We have the mountains, 3 hours away in the Smokies, and even like Western North Carolina. So just being connected. We go up to North Carolina a lot, which again I never really expected that side of North Carolina before. So that's something that's one of our favorite things is to take the dogs up there and go there and to be in a totally different climate.
Oh, you said it was like a central hub. You can go to the mountains, you can go to the beach. I haven't been to the beach on the East Coast a whole lot of times. What does that differentiate from the beach over in California?
Yeah. So out of all the beaches I've been to like San Diego, LA area. I've been to Rocky Point, and then I've done a couple in the Caribbean. I've never been to a beach in Georgia, which would be like the Savannah, St. Simons Island area. I know it's really popular. I've not had the time to go out there. But I have been to Pensacola, to the Panhandle of Florida, which again I've never been to Florida before I moved out here, and it's kind of cool actually. It's very different. It's a different speed. It's a different taste, different flavor. But the water is crystal clear down there. The waves are very low. It's all beautiful white sand, and I actually enjoy it more. It's the type of place where you wear flip flops, bathing suit, and a shirt everywhere you go, hat, sunglasses. Like you just to be able to wear flip flops and just kind of lay back and kind of enjoy the salt life the way it should be, compared to like California and even like parts of Mexico. I've really enjoyed that, and we'll go boating out there a lot. I went deep sea fishing out there, which is awesome on the Gulf. Um, the food down there is awesome. I enjoy kind of just the whole town of Pensacola as a whole, where it's just kind of like a redneck part of Florida where you can kind of just do whatever you want, which I know is kind of like the stereotypical part of Florida, but like, there's really good like fish taco shacks everywhere. Really good, just like low maintenance restaurants on the beach, on the sand. Like, so I really, really enjoyed my time out of Pensacola. It's funny if you told me like, hey, would you rather pick the mountains or the beach? I'm typically choosing the mountains, but man, compared to like the North Carolina mountains and the Pensacola beach, like I would take Pensacola beach more, which is surprising, but
Yeah.
I would choose the mountains in the West more than that. But it very, very different. It's cool to see myself kind of change thought and change directions a little bit. So that's been fun. But I've enjoyed my time down there, and it's been fun exploring down there. So
Cool, man. Well, thank you for taking some time to talk about Atlanta. It's been fun to learn. Yeah, I felt like I learned a lot, with all the stereotypes. I haven't spent a ton of time out there, so I kind of thought, it was more everyone has a southern accent. There's barbecue everywhere, and outside looking in, I didn't know a whole lot, so I feel like I learned quite a bit, and it was great catching up with you. And yeah, do you have anything else to add before we close up?
no, man. I don't have any final remarks other than it's been a blast, and I'm curious to see where it goes in the next couple of years. So, do you have any final
Yeah,
remarks?
no, that's all. It was great catching up with you, and thank you everyone to listening up to this point. We'll be talking about Austria next week, so stay tuned for that one, and see you next time.